presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and powered by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Welcome to the podcast, where former San Antonio police officer, author, and pastor Tim Rupp walks you through real-life scenarios involving our police officers and digs into the depths of facts and opinions on each case. This is Cop Talk, and it starts now.
Hello, and welcome to the Strong Blue Line's Cop Talk. I'm Tim Rupp in the Rev.FM studio in Idaho Falls, and here with me is station manager, Mr. Gary Austin.
Hey, Tim.
Gary, nice shirt you have on today.
Thank you. Same to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And if we had cameras, you would see that we have matching shirts, just different colors.
Yeah.
Under Armour shirts, Freedom shirts. So it was kind of, it was not planned, ladies. It was just a fluke, if you will. So, hey, we have AI Part 2, Episode 2, I like to call it.
Episode 2. Part 2.
The continuing saga of artificial intelligence. You know, it's so interesting. We're going to get to it in a minute, but it's so interesting. But before we do that, I'm so interested. Well, I want to get into it. We need to honor our officers that were killed in the line of duty on this date in history.
Yes.
And so October 23rd, and this comes from Newark Police Division, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
Police Division, they called it back then. Police officer Maxwell Badgley. And end of watch, October 23rd, 1854.
Okay.
So prior to Civil War, that's kind of a thing that we look at when we look at these old ones. Officer Badgley was stabbed to death by a prisoner who was attempting to escape his custody. Officer Badgley and two officers were escorting 4 prisoners to the jail following a hearing before a judge. The prisoners were handcuffed. Now, this is following the hearing. So they've already gone to the hearing, and the prisoners were handcuffed in pairs, left wrist of one prisoner to the right wrist of another prisoner. As Officer Badgley turned a corner near the jail with the first pair of prisoners and out of sight of the other 2 officers, Officer Badgley yelled for help. As the 2 officers rushed to his aid, they found that he had been stabbed in the chest. So these guys had already been to court. So either they had this knife with them, or somehow they got it in court. Somebody slipped it to them or something. But I would think that somehow that, you know, we're learning this. We're learning that there was not a lot of searching of these prisoners back in the old days. It happens today still. Yep. When I was on the police department, I never told this story. This one guy, he was working DUI. He was a DUI officer. We had a whole squad of officers, if you will, about half dozen, dozen of them or so. That all they worked was DUI. They were assigned to traffic.
Oh, okay.
And all they did, they were DUI enforcement officers. So they were up on the highways at night and arresting people for DUI. And he had arrested this one person and put him in the back of the car, searched him, all that stuff, put him in the back of his police cruiser, locked up, and he went back outside to check on something on the car. While he did that, the guy committed suicide in his car with a gun.
Oh.
So he missed the gun on the person, and it's like he could have shot the officer.
Yeah.
But this is modern day policing. And you're taught, so very important officers to keep care to maintain their tactics.
Yeah.
And just don't overlook it like, oh, this is a nice mom, mother of 3 and stuff.
Exactly.
And I'm taking her on a warrant that she forgot to pay a traffic ticket. Got to do the search,
Yeah.
You got to do it for protection. Although both prisoners attempted to flee the scene, one of them fell, preventing the pair from making their escape. They were hooked together. Officer Badgley identified the prisoner who stabbed him just before he died. A 6-inch spring-loaded dirk knife. Now, this was 1854. A 6-inch spring-loaded dirk knife, commonly known today as a switchblade, was recovered at the scene of the stabbing. So here we go, 1854. Guns were around, obviously. They've been around for a long time before that, but they weren't as popular as they are today. But there's still ways to get around it. And Officer Badgley was 50. It doesn't say anything else about a family or how long he served or anything. Just 50 years old at the time of his death. So.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. You know, we've had quite a few who have died in the line of duty by gunfire.
Right.
And you know, so these couple. I've got one here that his patrol car collided with a transit bus. This is Corporal Adam S. McMillan, Hamilton County Sheriff's Office in Ohio, end of watch in 2020.
Okay,
So
this day in 2020.
yeah, so 42 years old. He had served with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office for 19 years. So
a different thing. So there's always dangers out there. There's always, and a lot of people work in dangerous jobs. You used to work construction.
right.
Construction is a dangerous job. A lot of heavy equipment and things going on. The guys can get hurt pretty easy.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things, and policing is the same thing. So yeah, that's keep them officers in mind. Again, you can go to the Officer Down Memorial page and look up a lot of interesting stories. Yeah, there is. Hey, formerly aired shows of Cop Talk can be found on Amazon, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify platforms. And October 20th, next week, Light the Night here at Idaho.
Already
in
next
Idaho
week.
Falls. Yeah,
Wow.
I can't believe it, man. I mean, the cooler temperatures and all that stuff coming, and before we know it, winter will be here in full bore. Well, winter always comes. It comes and goes in September and October. Here it is. Just kidding.
Yep.
I'm back.
Joking. Yep.
Anyway, hey, so we started talking about artificial intelligence last time in the last episode of Cop Talk. And so very interesting. And when we started talking about it was that police are starting to use artificial intelligence. And we talked about that here, that you use artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
With Scott Daniels.
With Scott Daniels, yes.
Is artificial. So, so there's a lot of good things that artificial intelligence does. And what it does, basically, I think if I can simplify this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, you know much more about this than I do. Artificial intelligence gathers facts. Or stories. They may not be facts. They may not know they're facts, but they gather information. Let me put it that way. They gather information and then produce a story out of that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's audio. Sometimes it's a written story.
Right.
So what kids are using it for college papers or their papers. They may say, I need to write a report on the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And so they'll tell this AI or whatever to gather information from these 3 or 4 resources.
Right.
And produce a paper on General Robert E. Lee.
Uh-huh.
And there you go. I need a 250-page paper on General Robert E. Lee. And they turn it in, and this is amazing work. I would never suspect a 6th grader could write like this. They can't.
No. Well, and that's kind of the point too, is that it's now being used. It is as it's coming more and more common. There's still people that are scared of it. Just like Scott Daniels with news. It's,
right. Yeah.
He if you really listen, you can kind of tell that he's
not he.
He's not he.
He's a computer. He's a digital. He's
yeah.
a digital voice, a digital audio voice. And there's good and bad people. And people. Scared is a good word. We're scared of new technology because we don't know how it works. But you know what? I remember when we went from the manual typewriter to the electric typewriter.
I do too, actually.
And there you go. See, and then it was tough. If you're used to manual, it was tough because you're used to smashing down on them keys, and all of a sudden you just touch them now. and then they had I remember I had a typewriter that it had a little digital readout on it. And I would type, and then I would, and it was kind of cool. I would like, wow, and that now computers and all that stuff, and now audio, you just talking to them,
right? And
now they will fix your grammar for you and things. And so this is kind of like, and so that's what artificial intelligence does. And so here we go again with technology. Is technology bad? Technology is neutral.
Yeah.
Technology is like money. Money is not evil. It is not good. Money is amoral. Mm-hmm. What you do with money could be good or bad.
Right.
If you start worshiping money, if you hoard money, if you make money an idol, then that's bad.
Exactly.
You know, it's so.
Yeah.
And same thing with technology. I mean, Facebook and all this social media platforms, they're really fun. You can have a lot of fun with them. You can gain a lot of information, but they could be used for nefarious things too. Mm-hmm. You know, you can get ripped off on them. You can get scammed on them.
Yeah.
You know, you can talk bad about people on them. You know, you can do things that this artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence has already come to policing. I knew it was going to come, but I didn't know it was already here, Gary.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So, you know, I'm not a active police officer now, but I still get in contact. But this comes out of Oklahoma City. And we talked about this Sergeant Gilmore wearing a body camera. So he made a call. He's a K-9 sergeant. He made a call, and his body camera captured the information and then produced a first draft of his report. And he said it was a better report that he could have written, and that it contained information that he forgot about. So
that is crazy.
It is. So it says Oklahoma Police Department is one of a handful to experiment with AI chatbots to produce the first draft of incident reports. Police officers who have tried it are enthused about the time-saving technology, while some prosecutors, police watchdogs, and legal scholars have concerns about how it could alter a fundamental document in the criminal justice system that plays a role in who gets prosecuted or imprisoned. So police officer reports are so very important because they report things like if I go out, you call me, as a police officer, you call me, I make a call, you say, yeah, that guy just ripped me off, you know, and there he is. And so I write a report on it. That report is really the basis of whether that guy gets arrested or not, gets prosecuted. I may arrest him there, but so it's very important.
Yeah.
You know, and if I leave stuff out of the report, or if I add stuff to it that wasn't true or something, very, very important. Police officer reports are very, very important. Built with the same technology as ChatGPT and sold by Axon, best known for developing the Taser, and as a dominant U.S. supplier of body cameras. Boy, Axon is they're on the cutting edge of it.
They really are.
Maybe we need to get some stock in Axon.
Yeah.
It could have been what they keep calling him Gilbert, and it's Gilmore. That's they say the first time. Gilmore describes as another game changer for police work. Here's a quote. They become police officers because they want to do police work. That's why people want to become police officers.
Right.
They want to do police work. And spending half their day doing data entry is just tedious as a part of the job and a part of the job they hate, said Axon's founder, CEO Rick Smith. Now, there's a good name, Rick Smith. Very straight to the point.
Right.
Described a new AI product called Draft One as having the most positive reaction of any product his company has introduced. Now, I wonder why this has most positive reaction. Because policemen hate to write reports.
Right.
You know, it's like, hey, I can get somebody to write me a report or help me greatly. Now, there's certainly concerns, Smith added. In particular, he says that district attorneys and prosecuting a criminal case want to be sure that police officers, not solely an AI chatbot, are responsible for authoring their reports because they may have to testify in court about what they witnessed. They never want to get an officer on the stand who says, well, the AI wrote that, I didn't. So that's very critical.
Yeah.
You know, an officer, are you saying, officer, you wrote to report this? Well, that's not what I wrote. That's what AI wrote. Well, who's AI?
Right.
That's your report. You signed it.
Mm-hmm.
So the officer, you know, if an AI writes a report, the officer has to edit that report.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least read it word for word and make sure it's accurate. And then sign his or her name to it, swearing that that's accurate.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
When you write a report, whether you do it or somebody else does it for you, you have to read that and swear it's the truth.
Yeah.
So AI technology is not new to police agencies. We have been adopted algorithmic tools to read license plates, recognize suspects' faces, detect gunshot sounds, and predict where crimes may occur. That's one thing that they're doing in big cities. They have these audio things that they will hear gunshots, and it will automatically report to the police.
Oh, really? Wow.
Wouldn't you like to live in a neighborhood like that where they've got sensors up? We're putting these up in case we hear some gunshots. We'll call the police.
Yeah. Not good.
Wow. Yeah.
Not a good thing.
Many of these applications have come with privacy and civil rights concerns and attempts by legislators to set safeguards. The introduction of AI-generated police reports is so new that there are few, if any, guardrails guarding their use. So I'm not sure how this would violate somebody's civil rights. If I had a body camera on and I go to a call and say it's a domestic disturbance and I make an arrest, that body camera is recording what's happening. It's recording the facts. It's not prejudice. It
Right.
just doesn't record my opinion about things. It records whatever it picks up on the camera. And then from that video and from the audio that it picks up, it generates a report. So I'm not sure how that could violate, unless it caught something off, that I wasn't involved in. I don't know. I don't know how it could violate.
Yeah, I
a
don't either.
report. If the camera picked up somebody in the background, if you're out in a public place, but then you're in public. I
Exactly.
just don't.
That's-
I'm not really sure, but I'm sure they're gonna try to figure it out. Before trying out the tool in Oklahoma City, police officials showed it to local prosecutors who advised some caution before using it on high-stakes criminal cases. For now, it's only used for minor incident reports that don't lead to someone getting arrested. So that's what they're doing in Oklahoma City right now. So no arrests, no felonies, no violent crime, said Oklahoma City Police Captain Jason Brissett, who handles information technology for the 1,170 officer agency. That's not the case in another city, Lafayette, Indiana. I didn't know there was a Lafayette, Indiana.
I didn't
I've
either.
been to Lafayette, Louisiana, but in Lafayette, Indiana, where that must have been some of the French coming down from Canada, and they just stopped and said, "We're good. We're right here.
Right.
You guys go on to Louisiana. We're going to stop
Yeah.
right here." Where Police Chief Scott Galloway told the AP that all of its officers can use Draft 1 on any kind of case that has been incredibly popular since the pilot program began earlier this year. Or in Fort Collins, Colorado, where Police Sergeant Robert Younger said that officers are free to use it on any type of report, though they discovered it doesn't work well on patrols of city's downtown bar district because the overwhelming amount of noise.
Huh.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're downtown on foot patrol and you go to like a bar, you walk into a bar that's playing music and stuff and all the loud noise and stuff, it's going to
Yeah.
pick up so much stuff
Yeah.
that it's going to be like, oh my
Overload.
goodness. Yeah. Your report on a drunk instead of 5 or 6 sentences. It's 14 pages long. Like, what in the world? Anyways, given all the sensitivities around policing, around race and other identities of people involved, there's an area where I think it's going to have to do some real work before we could introduce it, said Smith, the Axon CEO, describing some of the tested responses as not overtly racist, but insensitive in other ways. So I'm not really sure how that works. Those experiments led Axon to focus squarely on audio in the product unveiled in April during its company's conference for police officials. So if it only works on the audio, it's going to pick up you and I talking. How's it going to know if you're white, black, Hispanic, or other, whatever?
Right.
Sometimes you could tell by someone who talks. You could suspect that they're of a particular race.
Right.
Not necessarily true, because sometimes you might be surprised, but you can tell. But sometimes you can't. So
So that'll be interesting because it's you're almost gonna as an officer gonna have to be almost more verbal, like as if talking to yourself. I'm talking to a white male.
Well, and I think
mid-30s.
some of the things where it says could be insensitive
Right.
is if I'm talking to you and you're a witness and I said, could you describe the suspect for me? and you start using things that are, well, he was a blankety blank blank.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
that's true.
Witness said he was a blanket. Well, that's what they said, So
Right.
it ought to be in quotes,
Yeah.
But then again, if you're sensitive to that, this is a police report.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a story about what's going on. I mean,
Exactly.
This is a police report.
Yeah.
Police reports are public. You can go down and get a police report. You go down, it's public unless sometimes things are kept if it's an investigative report and stuff like that. But generally
Right.
speaking, police reports are public knowledge. So that's going to be interesting how it's going to work out. The technology relies on the same generative AI model that powers ChatGPT, made by a San Francisco-based OpenAI. OpenAI is a close business partner with Microsoft, which is Axon's cloud computing provider. Microsoft's got their hands in everything.
Oh,
Microsoft or
everything.
Apple, man.
Yeah. That's
If you
where
got
it's at.
if you got an Android or a Apple phone,
Yep.
you're being recorded. It's crazy. We use the same underlying technology as ChatGPT, but we have access to more knobs and dials than an actual Chat GPT user would have, said Noah Spencer Williams, who manages Axon's AI product. Here's the deal, Gary. What we have available to us, the technology on our phones, the technology you have for AI to doing Scott Daniels and stuff, there's more technology out there
Yeah.
that they give to certain, law enforcement agencies and stuff.
Exactly.
That goes a step beyond.
Yeah.
So we may have like a camera. We may have a camera that really zooms in close. Yeah. Law enforcement have a camera that zooms in even closer.
Right.
That
Yeah.
kind of stuff that's out there. The technology
true.
is out there. So looking at this stuff, one of the things this officer said is that after loaded video of a traffic stop into the system, pressed a button, the program produced a narrative-style report in conversational language that included dates and times, just like the officer would have typed from his notes, all based on the audio from the camera. It was literally seconds, Gilmore said, and it was done to the point where I like it. I don't have to change anything. At the end of the report, the officer must click a box that indicates it was generated with the use of AI. So, here's the scary part for me, Gary. And this goes back to human nature and being lazy.
Yeah.
You get this thing, your sergeant tells you need to go through training, you need to read every word, make sure, edit it, make sure, and sign it off. And they're going to do that for a few reports.
Yeah.
Pretty soon it's going to be like, when I'm busy, I'm tired, check it off, I read it. And you didn't read the report.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be, and generally what's always been done is, as a sergeant, I would review all the reports.
Yeah.
That was getting them. So I would check them, and if officer, made a mistake or something, I'd say, "Are you sure this way?" So there's got to be checks and balances. It probably has to be checked by the officer. It should that should end it right there. But the supervisor needs to check it,
Yeah.
and then maybe another generated AI program needs to maybe. What is your report saying on the incident that I went to in my report? Do they match?
Yeah.
So there's some checks and balances that need to be done. But again, technology, because they're requiring more reports.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be you'd make calls and you'd do things. You didn't have to write a report on it. But now everything needs to be documented, and that's taken up so much time.
Yeah.
So if this could be done digitally, I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, and
Good and bad
like
about
you
this.
said, it's pretty imperative. I mean, a police report is, if it's based on prosecution or
Yeah.
a warrant or whatever it is, they're pretty important.
And you think about it, if I got stopped, let's say I was coming home late one night or whatever, for whatever reason, I got stopped, and the officer believed I was drunk, or I don't even drink, but let's say he or she thought I was drunk and something, and I was harassed or whatever, and I felt I was done injustice. Would I want a report written by that officer, or would I want a report written by AI?
Yeah, right.
See, so AI can really be a benefit, because if what is the rough draft of the AI? What does it say? What the officer say? How was it changed?
Right.
That would be interesting to find
would
out.
be.
I think it would be. I think it would benefit a defense.
Yeah, I do too.
Because if it matches exactly. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's your complaint?
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, so I think there's
That's a good
interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hey, thanks for listening in. If you have a topic or question you want to address on Cop Talk, send me an email. You can email suggestions, questions, comments, or complaints to coptalk@therev.fm. That's coptalk@therev.fm. Thought from the Good Book today. Where's the one who is wise? Where's the scribe? Where's the debater of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? Thank you for joining us in helping to make the thin blue line a strong blue line.
Cop Talk is presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and sponsored by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Questions and comments are always welcome by email to coptalk@therev.fm. Listen, follow, leave a review, and share this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or YouTube. And visit thestrongblueline.org to learn how you can be a supporter. Cop Talk is a Rev FM production, produced and edited by Gary Austin. Thank you for joining us on Cop Talk.